This is the Sonos Roam, and it's one of the best and cleverest things the company has ever made. In this video, we're going to talk about exactly what the Sonos Roam is, review the damn thing, see how it stacks up compared to the rest of the market, and of course, talk about exactly why it's so damn clever. But first, so you probably already know who or what Sonos actually is, but it's always good to have a quick refresher, right? So basically, the company produces multi-room audio equipment. The idea is to provide you, the user, with an easy to set up sound system that spreads music across your entire household. If you asked me this question 5 years ago, I would have said, nah, not really. But in that time frame, Sonos's hardware has improved. We've got better networking equipment and wireless networks in general, plus an improvement in audio standards like AirPlay 2 have led me to completely reevaluate Sonos's offering. Where once I found Sonos equipment a bit glitchy and overpriced, these days they produce solid audio hardware that really works pretty seamlessly. And I've also been a big fan of some of their recent products, whether that is the newest generation of the Sonos One, the Move, or even in this instance, the Roam. Okay, let's get some facts and figures out of the way. The Sonos Roam is an incredibly portable speaker. It's 17 centimeters tall and weighs about 430 grams, about the same as a standard tin of tomatoes. It's heavy enough to feel premium, but light enough to throw around with few worries. The Sonos Roam is also IP67 rated, meaning it has water and dust resistance, while also being able to be immersed in up to 1 meter of water for 30 glorious minutes. Battery-wise, it can last for about 10 hours on a single charge, something it does via USB or Qi wireless chargers. Connection-wise, you can play audio through the Roam, either Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, and it supports AirPlay 2. You know what? Overall, I'm impressed. The build quality is solid, it's well put together, it feels like it's gonna last for ages, and aesthetics wise, it's got a real premium feel to it as opposed to more of a rough and ready workhorse that you might find in other Bluetooth speakers. But let's talk about sound. I was genuinely a little bit surprised by it. This speaker is so small, it's really tiny, and it delivered a far bigger, more expansive sound than I expected from it. You're not going to get audiophile quality sound from something like this. That's just not the way speakers this size work. But the bass does have a nice thump to it and the mids are prioritized. I guess for me, it just falls off a little bit with the trebles lacking a certain amount of detail and clarity. But this kind of makes sense because if you use it for an outdoor party speaker, you don't want, say, a cymbal crashing just cutting through everything. Still, I would like a little bit more detail and clarity from the Roam in general. It's pretty obvious this has been tuned to be an outdoor speaker that really pushes that, bass level and the kind of vocal range. But if I had to sum it up, solid and sensible sound. I am quite a big fan of the Trueplay feature though. What this is the Sonos Roam fires out some sound waves and then uses the mic to pick them up. Then it works out where you are in that room and it tailors the sound for you. A perfect example of this is, think of putting the Roam in a shower or something. Then you can easily get overpowered with big booming bass, but Trueplay changes the EQ depending on your environment, and I found it worked really well. It basically sounded the same wherever I put it in the house, and compared to some other Bluetooth speakers that really change their mode depending on where they are, I found the Roam, real consistent. My big gripe with Sonos systems in the past is they were fiddly and an arseache to set up. Fortunately, these days, things are far less harrowing. Aside from the occasional blip where I struggled to pair my phone with the Sonos Roam when I was just tapping against it at the back, the whole experience was yeah, super smooth, and it was only a couple of minutes from taking the Roam out of the box to me blasting music. But I don't want to spend a huge amount of time talking about the Sonos system in general. If you want some more thoughts on that, then what you need to go and do is check the description below and find the article where I'll talk all about this in a little bit more detail. In terms of other bits of use, the only issue I have is really the switch between Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So for example, if you're on your home network and playing from your phone and then step outside of that and want to switch to Bluetooth, you have to do a little bit of fiddling between them. But really, is it a deal breaker? I don't think so. How often is it that you want to be playing on a speaker out of your house into the road? That's what public nuisances do. Don't be a public nuisance, be cool. There are a few issues. Let's take the sound, for example. I think there are two things I would like to see improved. One is the nuance, a little bit more detail and clarity. And the second is just a bit punchier, a bit more power to really fill an outside area. Two things that I really think could be solved by just making the Sonos a little bit bigger. Another issue is the shape. The Roam has this cylindrical triangular design, and the speakers, the drivers, are only on one side. So a lot of competitors in this field have like a circular 360-degree sound production. And that's just so much more useful if you're outside or sitting in a group of people and have the speaker in the middle. So yeah, I'd really like to see a different shape from the Roam here. Another thing I would like to be improved is the battery life. 10 hours is fine, but I really think you should be looking at 12 to 15 for something like this, especially if you're going to take it out and use it for multiple days in a row without needing to be charged. Another issue is the price. $170 isn't bad, but it is definitely on the higher scale of the portable speaker market. But all of that nicely leads us on to our next point. Probably my favorite portable speaker on the market is this, the UE Boom 3. And I think it's interesting to bring it up because both these two speakers complement each other in opposite ways. Let me explain. The Boom 3 excels in a lot of the areas where the Roam struggles. Take, for example, the sound. Because it's a little bit bigger, it can produce a punchier, more bass-rich audio experience, which is perfect for listening in the park. Same with the shape. It has a 360-degree sound, which is really wonderful in group environments. It's also a bit more rugged and hard-wearing than the Roam appears to be. I mean, this one's been beaten up by me for ages and still looks pretty good. And currently, you can buy this for about $120, which is a fair chunk cheaper than the Roam. But the Roam thrives in a lot of the areas where the Boom struggles. First, let's just talk about aesthetics. The Roam has a real sort of grown-up premium feel to it compared to the more cartoony elements of the Boom. Then we also have the variable sound that the Roam can deliver with Trueplay, which allows it to change depending on where it's placed. You have the wider support for audio standards, such as your AirPlay 2. And of course, the Roam fits into an existing Sonos system, something that the Boom 3 cannot do. The reason I'm bringing all this up is I don't believe there's a perfect portable speaker available at this price point. Instead, there's a bit of give and take, and you need to find the speaker that fits for what you want for it. So let's say, for example, I am desiring for a bit of audio hardware that I'm going to use outside, in parties, in parks. Then I'll go for something like the Boom 3 or the Mega Boom, something big and powerful and meaty that just really can fill a space and is rugged. Yet, if I'm looking for something that's maybe a bit more nuanced to move around the home to fit into an existing Sonos system, then it's hard to look past the Roam. It really is a fantastic bit of kit. And that leads us nicely on to our next section. At the start of this video, I said the Sonos Roam was one of the cleverest business decisions that the company has made. And this is for one major reason. It is the ideal entry point into the company's system. Let me explain a little bit. Ignoring the IKEA collaboration, the Sonos Roam is the cheapest bit of kit that the company has produced. But what really marks it out is I genuinely believe it functions perfectly as a standalone premium portable speaker. Whether or not you have a Sonos system, it is good enough that it can rest on its own laurels in the market, and that is what is so damn clever. Basically, Sonos has made the Roam alluring enough on its own to tempt people to buy one who may not have anything to do with Sonos as a whole. Effectively, this acts as an entry point into the company's sales funnel without the pressure of having to set up an entire home system. And if the individuals like it, well, that's perfect. That's an ideal place to build out a Sonos collection from. Also, if you already own a Sonos system at home, why wouldn't you get the Roam as a portable speaker? It's a no-brainer. So, long story short, it's a win-win for Sonos. Either it acts as an enticing lure for people new to the system or scared to committing, or it's a must-buy add-on for people who already have Sonos equipment at home. Very clever, people. Very clever. The Roam isn't a perfect portable speaker, but it is a very, very good one. Of course, at this price point, there need to be some trade-offs made, and most of them, to me, make sense. But where I think the company missed an opportunity was making the Roam a little bit bigger. I think this would have improved the sound quality overall and would have allowed them to stick a bigger battery in there. The Roam is also an incredibly astute business move from the company, and I'm intrigued to see whether or not this strategy works and it drives a lot more people into the arms of Sonos's ecosystem. Overall though, the Roam is a fantastic little speaker that manages to stand completely on its own merits, whether that's inside or outside of the Sonos system as a whole. And you know what? I'm excited to see what moves the company is gonna make next. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, then please look down and for the first comment, sign up to our newsletter. It's filled with good stuff. And you can subscribe as well. It'd be lovely to have you as part of our YouTube channel. But until next time, au revoir and lots of love. See you in a bit.